So I'm starting to work on the floor now. I'm waiting a bit on the welding. I'm going to make another change, which we'll see how that works in my welding setup. Anyway, here's the start of the floor and the wall sides, the inner wall sides. So I have to bend this down here to match. And it's got a curve around here and bend down as well. So it's going to be tricky, but we'll see how it goes. Might have to do it in pieces. So I've formed the piece. Of course, I bent it the wrong way to start with. Why did I do that? Well, you know how it goes. Not the sharpest knife, dumber than a bag of hammers, all that kind of stuff. And I also, somehow, I guess when I fit this in, I got it stuck back here. So I got this wrong too, but I can easily patch that. But there it is in position. A little more straightening to do at the back there because I bent it twice. And likewise here. Nothing that can't be clamped and welded. And then I have a couple of corrugations to copy as well. There's two up here, two here. Once I get it cut to size, I can measure those off and put it in the bead roller and just do those, and then I can start the bending after I've put whatever strain and stretch I'm going to put in the metal, rather than bending it all to shape and then trying to bead roll it afterwards. So, next steps. This is the panel I'm making to go on the side to replace the equivalent to the other side over there. This was all rotten. So I've been running this through the English wheel and it's coming, but I can't get this compound curve correct here. I'm just not getting any more stretch out of it. So I'm going to use some heat and get it into rough shape, and then I'll English wheel it again. Try and get it to fit properly. So it's out probably 1.5 inches there. The curve is back here, and this is really where it's curving. So do that bit by bit, try and work it into place, and then smooth it out after that. It's getting there. A little bit of a gap in here, but this is also raised up with the heating and bending and running through the English wheel. So I will use heat again to lay this flat as I stretch this part here. So I'll be heating through here and down through here and try and get the metal. This will have to go that way, which it will, and then that will take this with it. So that's why I need heat through this whole section, and then heat across here to try and get this to flatten. And that part's going to get a little thicker, and this part will get a little thinner. And then I have this section here to do, and that may work out with the English wheel. I'll give it another try in a bit, and then I'm going to probably have to take off a bit more in here. So far I've taken off about 1/2 inch on the bottom and then angled it up. I drilled the hole because I couldn't get a nice end to it here with the tin snips. Could have used a cutting wheel, but I had tin snips in my hand. You can see how much it has stretched thus far. This was all straight through here before I started all this work. That's how much it has come down. You can see here, it's bent almost at 90 degrees. It's pretty darn close. And just a little bit more to go. So that worked with the English wheel. But I've still got, I'm going to trim off some more here and then try and work this flat. So it's not supposed to be curving there, it's supposed to be curving more here. Work on that part, and then it should be a pretty darn good fit. Before I go any further with this, I've got to level this box. I found out yesterday that, funny, you take out all the superstructure and things sag. So I got to make sure that's all level first, square to the floor, and then make things fit and start reinforcing it. But ground this now. Have to do the 36 grit sander on there, get it all ready for painting. And there's a dip developed here. I gotta take that out. That's from welding. It's got a little too hot. And on to the next side. Do the rough grinding over there. Keep cooling it as I'm going, which is what I did with this side. So I guess I got carried away or something. I cleaned off the box, and I've taken my 6-foot level and used that, and I gauged, well, first I set it up back to front level and side to side level, and I checked the floor. The floor is the same, and then I measured this gap here on both sides, and then I raised it up accordingly on each side to keep it level and to twist the box so that this gap was very close side to side, which I've done. So now everything should be lined up, and I should be able to start tacking in the floor. And then I can put on the fender supports, etc. But I've got some more grinding to do, obviously, inside here. Both sides. And it gets a little tricky because the 4.5-inch grinder will only fit sort of from here across, here up, or here across. But it's getting there. So now to reinforce things so it doesn't twist. Just a further reminder to me that you can't check enough stuff. So I took the tape measure and I measured from here to the floor on each side. There's 1/2 inch difference. So I have to recheck, make sure that nothing has changed here. These have to be right angle on this truck. I'll check the width of the tailgate just to make sure nothing's changed there. See if I haven't screwed up somewhere. And then I'll start leveling again, and I'll recheck the floor against the height of that crossbar, the back of the truck. So many things you have to check just to make sure. And if the box is twisted, it will be fairly obvious because the body lines all follow through, which is normal. The pickup. So if that is off kilter, it'll show up. So here goes. Tacked in place, patches, of course. Try and get things to fit properly. I had a dip down in here I had to take care of. That's where this one came from. And then this is a patch piece, just because it was easier for me to make two rather than try to get one piece to do the whole works. So now I've cut through underneath, much grinding to do. This is from blowing holes through it, having to patch that with more wire. You can see there's a hole right there I didn't get. And then keep going. This is going to have to be beat down and do some forming here now that it's in place. I did do a fake rivet or fake spot weld, meaning that drill the holes out and weld the sheet metal to the brace. This one I tried to do with the strap in place. Of course I failed, so I had to drill it out. I'll start again. Now I've got it clamped both sides so at least it's tight. Before I couldn't really do that. I only got it in one place. So progress is being made. I found that for me, lots of people advised putting a spot with your MIG, or an inch away putting a spot, and keep going like that, and then fill it in spot, spot, spot until you get it all. I find I end up with a mess like this if I do that. So what I did was I have it set on a very low speed, second level on the MIG. There's a episode I have on slowing the MIG right down, which is good for sheet metal. So then I did a 1/4 inch at a time while it was still hot, but cooling. I did another 1/4 inch, and I didn't, because this is strong metal, I did not cool it off in between, which makes the weld hard, and then if you do have to beat on it after that, you end up splitting the weld. So try it this way. This section is what I did in that technique, and it's far superior to what I got over here. So I'm not doing the spots anymore, and I'm not cooling anymore. Just do a spot and put as much heat into it as you feel comfortable with. Let it cool accordingly, and then do the next little stretch, but about a 1/4 inch at a time. Hope that helps. Yesterday, I had a bunch of oil canning here. This has to have a gentle curve towards the back. So I kept working at it until I got rid of the oil can, which I did. A new one on me. I shrunk it too much. And now I've got a gap there. All through here. This is more flat. It's a bit out here. This has to curve. So now I got to get it back. Nothing like making work. Yeah. See if I can show you right there. You can see it all the way up. Probably 1/8 inch max, all the way up. The next step is to attach the inner fenders. So I bought these Clecos the other day. They're about a little less than $2 a piece. Fantastic. They hang on to stuff, work very well. Highly recommend them. And then there's a pliers that goes with them, which was about $15 at KMS Tools. So I may get more of these. Right now I just got 6, but 3 is sufficient for this part. So then I will take this apart, get it out of here, weld these together, and then fake spot weld it in place with a MIG. After I tar everything up in there and get it all protected, and then the rubber flaps can go on, but this, I have to do this part first. So the rubber will not be going on yet, but this can all go in place. Can all get refit. Progress. This is one of the inner fenders. I'm just tack welding it. I'm butting it. Well, it's a lap weld actually. I'm not worrying about getting it to match completely. I'm just going to tack it on there, lay the seam complete on the inside, and just tack it on the outside. You can see here. I'll do a few more, and then can paint it and put lots of undercoat on it, which is kind of what they did originally anyway. And then I'll do that to both sides. You can see this one as well. And then they should be ready to go. With all the cutting I did here, some of these have fallen out, so I got to replace them. No big deal. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.